All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's explainer, where we're going to embark on a truly fascinating microscopic journey. We're going to bridge the gap between massive global epidemiology and the tiny invisible biochemistry happening right this second inside your cells. We're looking at abnormalities of the hexose monophosphate shunt, and we'll be primarily focusing on a condition known as G6PD deficiency. It's this wild genetic quirk that affects millions of people, and honestly, understanding it unlocks an absolute masterclass in human biology. Here is our roadmap for the explainer today. We're going to start with the global mystery, move into the biochemical shield, look at what happens when the shield fails, explore triggers in food and pharmacy, and finally, wrap things up with the clinical consequences. Okay, Section 1, the global mystery. Let's look at this widespread enzyme defect. To really grasp this condition, we first have to appreciate just how incredibly common it is. We are actually talking about the single most common human enzyme defect in the entire world. Now, to hook you into just how bizarre and far-reaching this whole thing is, consider this question. What on earth do fava beans, medications used to treat leprosy, and the malaria parasite all have in common? On a surface, absolutely nothing, right? But in the context of human hematology, they are all intimately connected to the exact same cellular vulnerability. And it's a vulnerability shared by an estimated 400 million people. That is a staggering number of individuals globally who carry a mutation in their G6PD gene. Because this is an X-linked recessive disorder, it presents most frequently in biological males. That means there is a massive chunk of the global population walking around with a hidden genetic trait that completely alters how their blood cells react to the world around them. What's really interesting is that historically, the geographical distribution of G6PD deficiency directly parallels regions where malaria is endemic. If we look at Pakistan, for example, while the national average hovers around a couple of percent, the incidence actually spikes to around 8% in certain populations, like the Pathans. This isn't just some random distribution. It's a geographic footprint left behind by a very specific evolutionary pressure, which we are definitely going to come back to. Moving on to Section 2, the biochemical shield and protecting our red cells. So, to understand why 400 million people have this vulnerability, we really need to zoom all the way down into the microscopic machinery of our red blood cells and look at a pathway called the hexose monophosphate or HMP Shunt. You see, red blood cells have a super dangerous job. They're essentially these little hemoglobin-filled containers specialized to transport oxygen. And when you hear oxygen in biochemistry, you should immediately think oxidative stress and reactive oxygen species. To make matters even worse, mature red blood cells lack nuclei and mitochondria. They literally have no backup generators, so they rely entirely on this HMP shunt to create NADPH, which acts as this vital reducing agent and antioxidant shield. Without it, the cell is just totally defenseless. And here's where our star player comes in. G6PD is the catalyst for the rate-limiting first step of this entire defense pathway. As you can see here, by converting glucose 6-phosphate, G6PD generates that precious NADPH. That NADPH is then used by an enzyme called glutathione reductase to regenerate the reduced form of glutathione, or GSH. And it's this reduced glutathione that physically neutralizes dangerous hydrogen peroxide, turning it into harmless water, completely protecting the cell from oxidative damage. Basically, G6PD is the engine that keeps this entire protective shield running. Section 3, when this shield fails. Let's trace this cellular cascade. So what exactly happens when a genetic mutation leaves a cell without enough of this crucial G6PD enzyme? Well, it builds into this violent domino effect. When a patient with G6PD deficiency encounters an oxidative stressor, their cells just can't produce enough NADPH. This means their glutathione is quickly depleted. Left unchecked, those free radicals start attacking the red blood cell from the inside out. They actually cause the globin protein chains in the hemoglobin to unfold, cross-link, and precipitate into these rigid clumps we call Heinz bodies. As these damaged, clumpy cells circulate through the body, the spleen recognizes them and literally takes bites out of the aggregated portions, leaving behind these distinct degmocytes, or bite cells. Eventually, the cell is so physically damaged that it ruptures entirely in a process called hemolysis. But it's not just the hemoglobin getting damaged here. The entire structural architecture of the cell actually collapses. Specific oxidative drug metabolites cause something called hyperphosphorylation of the band 3 protein, which is an essential hub in the red blood cell cytoskeleton. This triggers profound membrane remodeling and severe instability. It's a complete physical breakdown of the cell's structural integrity, and it happens completely independent of any immune system response.
All right, section 4, triggers. Let's look at food and pharmacy.
Now we know how these cells burst, but why do they burst? Let's look at the everyday catalysts that kick off this whole violent cascade. G6PD deficiency is usually totally silent until an oxidant trigger is introduced. Surprisingly, the most common triggers are actually infections. When you get sick, your body's inflammatory response pumps out a massive amount of free radicals, and those G6PD deficient red blood cells simply cannot detoxify them. The other famous trigger, of course, is fava beans, which cause a specific condition called favism. Fava beans contain these really strong natural oxidants called divacine and isopyramyl, which can swiftly overwhelm the deficient cell's already compromised antioxidant shield. Now, there has been a lot of historical confusion regarding medications for these patients, so let's be really clear about the divide here. Certain high-risk drugs are strictly prohibited because their metabolites generate massive reactive oxygen species. This list includes Dapsone, used for leprosy, Primaquine, an antimalarial, and nitrofurantoin, a common antibiotic. On the flip side, many common drugs that were once thought to be dangerous, like paracetamol and aspirin, are actually perfectly safe for these patients when taken in normal therapeutic doses.
Finally, section 5, clinical consequences and how this impacts patients.
We've seen the molecular destruction, but how does this microscopic battle affect a real patient in a hospital bed? The absolute most crucial point here is understanding the drastic difference in severity based on age. When an older patient encounters a trigger, they typically develop acute hemolytic anemia. They might experience back pain, jaundice, or dark urine, but this is generally self-limiting. The older red blood cells that have the lowest enzyme activity burst first, but the younger, healthier cells survive. However, in newborns, this is incredibly dangerous. Infants with G6PD deficiency face a life-threatening risk of severe hyperbilirubinemia. Their tiny, developing livers simply cannot handle the massive load of unconjugated bilirubin coming from the breakdown of those blood cells. This carries a severe risk of a condition called kernicterus, which can lead to permanent brain damage.
To close out our explainer today, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question. If this genetic defect leaves our red blood cells so incredibly vulnerable to everyday foods and standard infections, why on earth did evolution allow 400 million of us to keep it? The answer brings us right back to where we started, malaria. It turns out the malaria parasite actually requires the reduced form of glutathione to proliferate. Because a G6PD deficient patient has lower levels of this exact molecule, the parasite really struggles to survive in their blood. So this biological flaw is actually a profound survival advantage in malaria-endemic regions. It's a spectacular trade-off by human evolution, written right into our biochemistry. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the microscopic world around you.